Hello, welcome to the Antisocial Club. I'm Robin Alexis. Today I'm going to show y'all how to make my mesh dress. I made it two different ways. Let me go in the middle so y'all can see both of them. I made them two different ways. I have one without the slit and the other one with the slit. So yeah, I'm going to be showing y'all how to basically do both. This is like a 2-in-1 tutorial. For the tutorial, you're gonna need your shoulder to shoulder measurement. So you're gonna measure from this side of your shoulder to this side of your shoulder. I took an inch away from mine, so mine is kind of like, you know, but if you want your shoulder to shoulder, make sure you chain to that actual measurement, and I'll talk about that more into the tutorial. Also in the tutorial, I measured from my neck down to below my belly button, but I had to sew the sides, which is also what I did with my original dress. I sewed the sides, but if you don't want to have to sew the sides at the end and you want to start doing it in a round, like up here, you would measure from your neck to your under your armpit, and then you would go from there. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully when y'all watch the tutorial, it'll make more sense, like what I'm talking about. But if you don't want to have to sew, do your neck to under your armpit. Under your armpit. I don't know why I did this. I tried to make this tutorial easy to understand. It's not a hard tutorial, but sometimes the way I explain things can be a little weird. So be sure to look at the screen. I put words on the screen. They might be easier to understand than what I'm actually saying. So just look at the screen, because I'm telling you like what to do on the screen. You know, I'll give like tips. So also look for that too. I give a lot of tips in my tutorials. People miss them. So yeah. Just to reiterate, if you don't want to do the mesh stitch, you don't have to. You don't have to use the same hook size. You don't have to use the same yarn I used. As long as you have your measurements, then you can use whatever you like. You can make it however you want. You can use a different stitch. If you want to do a shell stitch, if you want to do a granny, I don't know what the granny square type stitches. If you want to do like, I don't know, a lemon peel stitch, you can do any stitch you want. Use any hook, use any yarn. As long as you get your shoulder to shoulder measurement and you get your neck to either your under your armpit. I don't know why I keep doing this. You get your neck to under your armpit, or you get your neck to under your belly button like I did. It shouldn't matter what stitch, what hook, or what yarn you use. It should all give you the same silhouette. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the tutorial. I'm talking way too much. I hope that y'all love it. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions, comment them down below. And yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so to start, we're going to be using a 6mm hook. This is my 6mm hook. If you want to know the exact yarn and stuff that I used in my original dress, it's cotton yarn. I love this cotton. I used this exact color, so khaki. It's, what size is this? It's a medium, a cotton yarn. I used a 5mm hook when I did my original dress. So this is what it looks like. And I used a 5mm hook. That's what it looks like. Today I'm going to be using acrylic yarn. And I'm going to be using a 6mm hook. I'll be sure to put all the materials down below so y'all can see what I used. But we are going to start off with a slip knot. We are going to be doing the mesh stitch, so if you don't want to do the mesh stitch, you don't have to. So the mesh stitch basically puts all these kind of holes. If you don't want the holes, you would not do the mesh stitch. You would just do like double crochet, double crochet, double crochet. Again, I'm using acrylic, so I'm going to subtract an inch. Instead of doing 14 inches, I'm going to do 13. So we're going to chain until we get to that measurement. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 44, 45. This is 45. We're gonna see if it's the same measurement. So I'm just gonna hold this to the 0. And what I like to do is stretch it out. See, it's too long. You want to kind of give it a pull. Like I said, acrylic yarn tends to stretch. So I like to go based off of how it's stretched out. See, it's stretched out is way too long. So I stopped at 45. So I'm going to do it down to about 35. You want to do an odd number. Make sure you do an odd number. Once you get to your measurement, and again, you want to end on an odd number, we're going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. When you chain 4, you're going to double crochet into the 5th stitch from the hook. So remember, we don't count this that's on the actual hook. You count the stitch that's not on the hook. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And in the 5th stitch, which is where my finger is, you're going to do a double crochet. So just do a double crochet, just like so. And as you can see, we're already starting our mesh stitch. So after you do a double crochet, you want to chain 1. You're going to skip a stitch. So you're going to skip this stitch, go into this next stitch right here. You're going to do a double crochet. And then you're going to chain 1. So boom, see, we're starting the mesh stitch. Let me try to zoom in some. If you don't want a mesh stitch, you would just double crochet into each stitch all the way down. You wouldn't do the chain 1, you wouldn't skip a stitch. You would literally just do double crochet, double crochet, double crochet, double crochet, double crochet. You do it all the way down. Again, I'm doing the mesh stitch, so yeah. So again, we chained 1, so we're going to skip this stitch, go into this next stitch, double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet, chain 1. You can also do half double crochet if you want. You can do a treble crochet stitch. You can do a single crochet stitch. Again, if you want to use a different stitch, if you want to use a different yarn, if you want to use a different hook size, you would still do the same process. It would still be done the same, and you should get the same outcome. Basically, it'll just look a little different. Okay, we're coming to the end. I want to point out the fact that we did an odd number. We do an odd number because it'll give you the exact amount. That way you end on this last stitch, and it's the very first stitch that we did, or first chain. If you do an even number, it's okay. I promise, like, it's fine. You would just make sure you always go into this last one. So if you got an odd number, you would go into this, an even number, you would go into this one, but you would also go into the last one as well. But we did odd, so hopefully y'all did an odd number. That way you don't have to worry about that. You would just go skip a stitch, go into this one, and then, do it from there. If you're not doing a mesh stitch, you don't even have to worry about it. But yeah, so that's the first row. That's what it looks like. Mesh stitch. You can go back, kind of check your work, make sure you did your chain 1s. I forget sometimes, so it's okay if you forget one. If you want to go back, you can. I would try not to miss too many chain 1s though. So after we finish the last one, what you want to do is chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to turn your work, and a lot of people kind of get confused when I do the mesh stitch. You don't go into the big holes. You don't go into this. So you don't do that. You don't want to do that. You go into the actual stitch. So you're just going to go on top of the last chain, basically. So our chain 4 is on top of this last double crochet from the last row. So you're going to double crochet onto the last double crochet from the last row again. So you're just going to go on top of that. And as you can see, on top of that double crochet, there's this little opening here. That's where you're going to go in. And you're going to do a double crochet, and then remember to chain 1. So you chain 4, double crochet, chain 1. Again, go into the top of that double crochet from the last row, double crochet on top, chain 1. The 1 is to count for the fact that we're skipping this. That's why you chain 1. So that, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1. Hopefully that makes sense and will clarify, especially if you're like a beginner. But you're gonna just keep doing it. So double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, and we're just gonna do that all the way down to the other side. Okay, so we're at the end. Double crochet, chain 1. So for this one, you have this little piece left. There's no like open space, kind of like how the double crochet is, because remember, this is where we did an actual chain. So when you get to the end where the actual chain is from the last row, then you're going to go into the big circle. And you're going to do this for every single row. So when you get to the end of your row where you did the chain 4, you're going to go into the big circle. That's the only time you go into the big circle. So you're going to go to the big circle, do a double crochet, and then chain 4. So that was 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then you would turn your work again. That way you're not in decreasing on accident. So yeah, you want to make sure you go into the big circle of each row. So when I do this row and I get to the end, we'll have this chain 4 that we did from the last row, and you'll go into this big circle. Sorry, my dog is crying. My mom went outside and so he's sad. But you'll go into the big circle then. But that's the only time you go into the big circle. All the other times you want to go into the actual top of the double crochet stitches. We're going to start our double crochet chain 1s again. And what you want to do is you want to do it until you get to what measurement you got for your vertical measurement, going from your neck down to like your belly button. Mine, I'm going to do about 13 inches. So I'm going to do mine until I have about 13 inches going down. So that's how many rows I'm going to do. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's what we're going to do. And then I'll come back when I have about 13 inches. I figured I should show how I'm changing colors because I'm sure somebody's going to ask. So let me show y'all how I change my colors. So again, we're going to make sure we go into this last one. You're going to go to the hole because that's where we did the chain 4 from the last row. You're going to do a double crochet, but when you go through, so for double crochet, you're going to yarn over, go through, pull up a loop, go through 2, and usually you would go through 2 again, but instead of going through 2 with the same color, we're going to take our new color. So I'm doing pink. I like to make sure that the end piece yarn is away from me and the working yarn is facing toward me. So this is the end piece, right? This is the end piece. It's away from me, so it's facing that way. And then the working yarn is facing towards me. I loop it over like that. And then I pulled through the last 2 with the new color. So it'll look like that. So let me show it again. I feel like that was kind of weird looking. So again, yarn over, go through, pull up a loop. You're going to go through 2 with the same color. Go through 2. And then take your yarn, end piece away from you, working yarn towards you. And then you're going to pull through the last 2 with the new color. and that's how I change my colors. And then I'm gonna yarn 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it'll look like that. Yeah, and then you're gonna turn your work. I just been cutting these off. Cut it, and then we're gonna continue like normal. So double crochet, yarn 1, and just keep going. Again, I'm gonna go until I get to 13 inches, but you would go to however much you need. So yeah. Okay, so now we're gonna do the neck holes, and what you're gonna do is, I like to take some stitch markers and I do it even on both sides. So that's what I'm about to do right now. You take it, I'm gonna do maybe 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna put a stitch marker in the 5th one. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna put a stitch marker in the 5th one. That way it's even. And this will be our head hole. I'm actually gonna do 4. I'm gonna do 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. In the 4th one, we put the stitch marker, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4 stitch marker. So what you're gonna do is, remember, we chained 4, turned our work. So we're gonna do double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, or actually just double crochet. So we're just gonna do the double crochet, and what we're gonna do is we're going to count these spaces and the actual double crochets. So we're gonna count this. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and that's 23. So what we're gonna do is chain 23. So you're gonna take your hook, you're gonna do chain of 23, and I would try to do a looser chain if you can help it. So try to do it a little loose. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 21, 22, 23. So that's 23. And then what we're going to do is we're going to connect it to the 4th stitch over here that has the stitch marker. We're going to connect it with a double crochet. So what you're going to do is yarn over and then put it in and just do a double crochet just like regular, and then do the chain 1 because we're doing the mesh stitch again. So it'll look like this, and that will be your head hole. So that's where you're going to put your head in. So overall, we have our length, and then we have where our head hole is going to be, and then you're just going to continue on with your double crochet mesh stitch. So double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and again I switch colors, so I'm gonna switch my yarn right here. Remember, you just go in and then I just do a chain 4, and then I cut this. That's why you see all these strings on the side of mine, but those will all be gone at the very end. But we're gonna turn our work. We're gonna keep going until we get all the way back down to the bottom. Let me show y'all how to do the chain, just in case you don't know. You're still gonna chain one, so you're gonna chain one when you get to this last one. If you turn it this way, you'll see the stitches, so we're gonna skip this one and go into this one and do our double crochet. Again, skip this one, go into this one, double crochet, chain one, skip, double crochet, chain one. You're just gonna do that all the way down. And this is the back of the chain, I believe. Yeah, so we're working into the back of the chain and we're going into this, so it'll have like the 2 loops at the very top, and then you'll go into that. Hopefully that makes sense. Oh, should do a double crochet. I'm just gonna do that all the way down. If you're confused on this part and you don't know where to go in, you can just go around the chain and do it like this, where it's around the chain. Only thing is it will move around, but you can always just make this like the back of the shirt or the dress, if you want to. But just a little tip if maybe it's a little confusing, so just keep that in mind. You know, just do what you can. Crocheting is supposed to be nice and fun, so don't think too hard about it. And see, where here it should have that one, and then you'll skip that one and then you'll go into the actual double crochet on the other side. So now we're back on the other side, and we're just gonna keep working like we were doing before, being normal. So I'm gonna 2, 3, 4, turn my work just like this. Keep going. Like I said, you want to do it until you have the same amount on this side as you have on the first side that we did. And then when I come back, we'll connect the side that we're doing to this other side. Okay, so I'm coming up on the end of my row that matches the other side. So I'm just going to continue doing my mesh stitch, just like regular. Remember going into that last hole. And so what we're gonna do is actually connect both panels. So, you know, there's the 2 panels. We're going to grab the other side and we're gonna do a slip stitch into that knot from the other side. This is where we first did our chain at the very beginning to chain how many we needed. So there's this slip knot right here. You're gonna take your hook, you're gonna go in, and you're basically gonna do a slip stitch, so just like that, and then you're gonna chain 4, 3, 4, and you're going to continue on doing the mesh stitch. So you're going to go in, double crochet, right, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1. And what that does is it continues it on, but now we're connecting both panels. So see how they're both connected now? So then you'll come back around here and you'll slip stitch in there. So let me go back to doing it with my yarn that I actually need. Hopefully this makes sense. I'll explain it one more time. So again, gonna go into that and we're going to do a slip stitch basically. I'm gonna grab my new yarn. I'm gonna pull that through, chain 4, 4. We're gonna continue with our double crochet, chain 1, which is basically our mesh stitch, and we're gonna do that all the way around. So now we're on the other side. Remember, we need to connect this side as well. So again, you want to go into this space right here. So we're going to go into that big space because remember that's the end of the row. We're going to go into that space, double crochet, and what we're going to do is grab the other side, which is this side right here. I'm going to chain 1. So you double crochet, chain 1, and then what we're going to do is actually we're going to double crochet into this side. So see that, so see that's a double crochet. So let me show it again because I don't even know if I was in frame, sorry. So remember we're chaining 1. Remember we're at the end of this row, so there's this space right here, so you want to go into that space. You're going to grab the other side, so double crochet, chain 1, grab the other side, and then we're going to yarn over and do our double crochet into the space of that one, and then do our chain 1, and so you have it like that. And then we're going to continue to go into these open spaces right here and do our double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1. You're just going to keep doing that till we get back to the other side. But once you get to the end of this row, what you're going to do is you're just going to see we're at the end. You're just going to slip stitch into the big hole, connect that, and then chain 4. And the mistake I made with my first dress is I just kept going, but you want to continue to turn your work. Even if you're not changing colors, any of that, you always want to make sure you're turning your work. Make sure that your seam stays straight and it's not curving. My first dress, the seam, if you don't crochet, you probably couldn't tell, but if you crochet like we do, you probably can tell that the seam is curving. And that's why. It's because I wasn't turning my work. I didn't start turning my work until the very end when I learned that's why people turn their work. So when you do that, you want to make sure you turn your work, and then we're going to go back the other way. So again, just keep doing the mesh stitch, and I'll be back to try it on with y'all so we can see where it is, to see how many rows we have to do before we start increasing. So okay, so here is the dress so far. It's lopsided because I actually have this side pinned. One thing I want to make sure is that y'all tried on the dress before y'all continued on. So right when you did the head hole, make sure you tried it on before you continued, because the last thing you want is to have to undo all the rows you did, start over because the head hole is not big enough. If you use acrylic yarn and it's not big enough, you can try to steam it to make it bigger, so keep that in mind. But this is what I have so far. It just looks like this, and mine is about long enough. I think I'm gonna do about 2 more rows. Yeah, I think about 2 more rows before I start increasing, because you want to increase where your hips and stuff are. So yeah, if you don't want to do like I'm gonna do, I usually will go and then at the very end, so I might do it now actually. I'll crochet the sides together to close them up. If you don't want to do that, what you can do is crochet. So when you chain, you would chain, do a few rows, start your head hole. You would chain, right? Do a few rows, and then when you got to like from here to here, you would start your head hole and then go back around and then connect it. That way it's already connected and you're not going back to sew like I'm gonna do. Hopefully that makes sense. You can do that. So at this point, obviously you want to try it on, make sure that you know you have it the way that you want to. This is the time to go back and change the front, the top portion if you need to change anything. So I'm gonna go ahead and steam mine and then put the sides together, and I'll show that, and then I'll come back and we'll discuss what we need to do for the bottom part of the dress. Okay, so before I steam, I'm gonna go ahead and put the sides together. Take the same sides, just like so, and just crochet them together. I'm just gonna do single crochets. And I'm gonna do about 2 in each hole. So I'm just gonna do about 2. And I'm gonna do them very loose. I'm not gonna do them very tight. Again, just doing 2 in each one. I'm not doing it tight, I'm doing it very loose. Okay, and so when you get to the end, remember you want to crochet up to the place where you marked how big your armhole is. So when I tried it on, y'all saw I had that stitch marker in where I needed it to stop. Mine was at this pink one, so I'm just gonna stop it at this pink one right here, and I'm just gonna chain 1 and cut it off. As y'all can see, I changed my yarn color because I found this colorful yarn. So, but same thing, I just went back through and did the same thing. So you're just gonna do it like that, and that's what it'll look like. And then you're going to just do it on the other side as well. This one you're starting up a little higher, so we're gonna start here. The other one we started in the white part. Here we're gonna start in the orange, so just pay attention to where you need to start because they won't be in the same place. Again, this is only if you're doing it the way I'm doing it, where you're having to sew it together. If you're not doing this part, you can always just skip this part of the video. Here, because it's acrylic yarn, I'm steaming the dress. I don't believe this works with anything but acrylic. You can try other yarns, but I believe just acrylic will do this. But I'm just steaming it to make it elongated and make it a little wider. Also, it makes it softer and not so like hard. Peep my dog's chicken toy in the back though. But I'll try to link a steamer down below as well. Okay, so this is what it looks like steamed. As you can see, it got longer, the neck got a little wider. So actually, I think I'm gonna go ahead and start my increasing. I wanted to show y'all my other dress. This is my original dress. This was made with a cotton yarn that I showed at the very beginning. So it is super long. This is with it touching the floor. So this is the original dress, and as you can see, there's a bit of a like curve in here to make up for like the fact that, you know, your hips and stuff. So this is where I started my increasing. I tried to mark everywhere I increased. I didn't have a pattern I was following. I just knew that I needed to increase, but I tried to do it stagnant so you couldn't really tell where the increases were by just looking at it. So that's why the like stitch markers are just in random places. So I'm gonna do that again with this dress. And I did that so that when you look at the dress, you can't see the increases. So I did them very randomly. Now, if you're thicker, obviously you're gonna need a lot more increasing. I am size, like my hips, I believe, are like 38. But if you're bigger, you know, obviously you wanna increase more. But I'm just gonna show y'all how I did it. I'm not sure how to do the hip measurements without having like trying it on and stuff. So if you're trying to make it for someone else, I'm not sure how you would go about it, but this is just how I made the dress. And I just kept trying it on and off just to make sure I increased enough. So yeah, if you're using cotton yarn, just remember that it's not going to stretch. Like, it's not going to have any stretch. So keep that in mind. So you want it to be, if you want it to be tight, that's fine, but you want to make sure it's big enough that you can actually fit it. So yeah, we're going to get started on trying to increase. Again, I'm not sure how you would go about increasing if you're trying to make this dress for someone else, because I know when I was making it, I just kept trying it on and off. But you know, maybe somebody can figure it out in the comments. Just comment what you figure out, and I'll pin the comment if somebody figures it out. But I'm just gonna say, maybe take your waist measurement, um cut it in half, and then make sure when you're doing your dress, the sides get to that size, if that makes sense. Okay, so when doing the increases, what I do know is, for my original dress, I tried to keep the increases on one side of one panel and one panel only. So you know, we started with two panels. So this is one panel. As you can see, mine is separated from the sewing I did. So this is one panel, this is the other panel. Now we're crocheting in a round, but still I tried to make sure that when I did my increasing, I figured out which side I wanted to be the front and which side I wanted to be the back. So anyways, that's my front, this is my back. So when I go to do my increasing, I'm going to make sure that my increases are always on the back panel. If you're doing a bigger yarn with a bigger hook like I am, you're not most likely going to need as many increases. If you are doing a smaller hook and smaller yarn like I did for my dress, you will most likely need more increases. So I didn't mark every single increase. I tried to find them. They're a little hard to find since my yarn is all the same color, but I kept it in the same area. But I noticed I did like maybe 4 each row and kind of skipped a row. I did maybe like every other row. But again, since I'm using a bigger yarn and a bigger hook, I'm not gonna need as many. So I think I'm gonna try to increase maybe 3 every other row. And once I do about 4 rows, I will try it on to see how it looks. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Again, this is my front side, this is my back. So for now, we're going to do regular mesh stitch, which is just a double crochet. Okay, so we've gotten to the seam. As you can see, that's where the seam is. That's where our colorful yarn is. So now we're on the back, and I'm going to do an increase. I'm gonna do about maybe 3 is too much. I'll do 3. Yeah, I'll do 3. Okay, so I'm coming up on where I want to increase. I think I'm gonna increase on this next one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna do 2 double crochets. So double crochet. You still want to chain 1 even though you're increasing. So you still chain 1, but instead of going to the next stitch, you're gonna go back into that same stitch, do a double crochet, chain 1, and then you go into the next stitch. So it'll look like that. It'll look like a V. Okay, so I'm gonna go to, do I want to do this next one? Yeah, I think I'm gonna put a increase here. So again, you just do a double crochet, you still chain one, go back into that same stitch, double crochet, chain one, so it'll look like that, and then you go to the next, keep with our stitch. I'm gonna try to do it do another one here. So we'll chain, double crochet, chain one. So see, that's an increase. And then just continue on with our mesh stitch. And this was our last one, so we're going to slip stitch 2, 3, 4. So again, after you chain 4, you're going to turn your work just like so. Excuse my dog, you know, dog's gotta be a bit dramatic. And again, we're doing a row of increase, and then we're doing a regular row. So you want the increases to be gradual. You don't want them to be kind of like abrupt. So I would suggest kind of just trying to increase every other row. If you do increase every row, I would scatter them out and not do as many. Like, since I did 3 on my last row, I wouldn't do 3 on the next row. I would do like 2 or 1, you know. So again, no increasing. Just gonna keep going. Okay, so we're back on the back side. So I'm gonna put an increase around right here. Well, I'm gonna put it around like this one. So let me do this one. Again, just doing them randomly. So just put an increase here. So again, double crochet, chain 1. You want to make sure you do the chain 1. Double crochet, chain 1, next stitch, next stitch. So you can see our increase from 2 rows ago. I'm gonna try not to put it around that same area. So just gonna keep going. I might just do 2 on this row. And my next one, I'm going to put in this next one. So I'm gonna do my increase. So just double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1. And that's all the increasing I'm gonna do for right now. And what I'm actually gonna do is do my next row, which will have no increases. And what I'll do is I'll try it on and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, so here is what I have so far. You can see it is long enough, so I am about to start just not increasing. So we're not gonna increase anymore. Once you get to about here, we're not gonna increase anymore. I mean, you could do maybe 1 more row of increasing if you want to, but I'm not going to increase anymore. I'm just gonna go straight down. And yeah, you're gonna go straight down, kind of like how we did at the top. No increasing, no decreasing. And yeah, that'll basically be the end of it. So I'm just gonna take this off. I did steam it. This is what it looks like steamed. But before I steamed it, it was about here. Yeah, it was about here where the tan is at the top, where the bottom of the tan is. When I steamed it, it got to here. So like I said, no more increasing, so we're just gonna go all the way down with the mesh stitch, and I will see y'all when I finish the dress. Okay, so very last minute decision, but I decided that, you know, I don't like having the same thing more than once. Ignore my room, it's dirty. This is how much I have on the dress so far. Like I said in the last clip, if you want it like my original dress, my original dress is just solid all the way down. You would just keep going and around all the way down till you get to the floor. But I am actually gonna add slits onto mine. So I'm actually gonna take apart what I've done, probably up to the blue right here, and start doing a slit. And I'll do it on both sides. That way it kind of looks like this cover up. And I'm going to put that into this tutorial because I'm sure someone will ask, and that way I already have it. So again, if you want it to just be solid and not have any slits, you're just going around all the way down. But if you want it to have slits like I'm about to do, I'm about to show y'all how I plan on doing the slits. I've never done slits before, so bear with me. But I just wanted to point that out because this is a very last minute decision. I'm so sorry this tutorial is like all over the place. Okay, so in order to do the slits, we're going to do it even on both sides. So I have some stitch markers, and I tried to put them even, but we're going to count these spaces in between the stitch markers on both sides, so on this panel and then on the other panel, to make sure that they're even. That way my slits are not like weird looking and janky, so they're even on both sides. So now what I'm going to do is do kind of like how we did the top. I'm going to just insert my hook here, and we're going to start crocheting like 2 different panels instead of crocheting in the round like we were doing before. So have my crochet hook, and what color am I on? We're on this orange color. So I'm gonna take my salmon colored yarn, and I'm going to do a slip knot. And we're going to insert it where our pin is on the side. So remember, we have 2 pins. And also I made sure I had 1 space in between each pin. I don't think I said that. So in between each pin, there's just 1 post. So I'm gonna insert my hook at the top of this one, just like that. 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah. Do it like that. Turn my work. And then we're going to continue with our mesh stitch. So I'm just going to do my mesh stitch all the way down. Okay, so we're to the stitch marker on the other side. We're going to go into that one. I should have done a different color. This blue is kind of hard to see. But you're going to chain 4, 2, 3, 4. And remember, we're doing a slit, so we're going to leave this part open. So we're going to just turn our work and go back the opposite way. And you're basically going to do this for both sides until you get the length that you want. Okay, so we're at the end of this row. So remember, you're just going to go into that space. So you're going to go into this space and then do your double crochet, chain 4, and then turn your work, or like how I'm doing, I'm about to have to change colors. But you basically just do that, and you do it all the way down until you get to the length that you want. Like I said, mine is going to be almost like floor length. And then when you do the other side, you would just do it the same way. So yeah, now I'll come back at the end. Okay, so this is the finished dress. This is what it looks like. I have the slits. let me bring it down so y'all can really see. Okay, yeah, like here. Look like that. I had on some heels. If you want to see the pictures, they're on Instagram. But this is the dress. I just have on like a bra underneath. I could have sewn it up higher. That way you wouldn't really see the bra. But it's okay. I hope that y'all like it. I hope that y'all liked this tutorial. Hopefully it was easy to follow. Hopefully it wasn't like all over the place. I feel like it's kind of gonna be all over the place, but I'm hoping not. I guess y'all have like a 2-in-1 tutorial. You see how to do the slit, and then you have the other one where you could do like an original, like the original dress. Yeah, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye.